Seal's most successful song hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1995 and won him Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best Male Pop Vocal Performance at the 1996 Grammy Awards. It is hard to imagine a world without this critical piece of 90s pop culture, and yet took several strokes of good luck for the song to even be heard, let alone reach the level of success it had. Seal wrote the song in 1987, recorded it on a 4-track tape machine, and was almost immediately embarrassed by the results. He played the demo for a friend, but banished the tape to a forgotten corner of his studio apartment afterwards. Seal had no intention of letting his producer, Trevor Horn, hear the demo, but Seal's friend had told Horn about the track, and the producer began pestering Seal about the discarded track until the singer finally caved. The track hit airwaves in 1994, briefly touched the number 20 spot on the UK singles chart, made an appearance in the critically panned film The Neverending Story Part 3, and swiftly disappeared from everyone's mind. Everyone except for director Joel Schumacher, who was looking for a track to score the love scene in his then upcoming film, Batman Forever. The movie was a commercial success, and it brought Seal's single back into the limelight forever, though the song reached the heights of success and never clicked for Seal until the awards came in. Quote, "To be honest, I was never really that proud of it, though I like what Trevor did with the recording. He turned that tape from my corner into another 8 million record sales, and my name became a household name. I realized it just wasn't a song from a tape in the corner when I was picking up Grammys for it. Of course, I love it now, and I'm just so appreciative of the fact that I have a song like that most people love." Seal may have softened his stance on the once discarded track, but he remains unmovable when it comes to revealing the meaning of the lyrics. "I've avoided explaining these lyrics for over 25 years. I'm not going to start doing it now," said Seal. The only clue that the British singer has provided is that it was, quote, "some kind of relationship that inspired the lyrics," end quote. If you've ever wondered what it means to be compared to a kiss from a rose on the gray, then boy, have we got an episode for you. That's right. We're kicking off Lover Me with the legendary Seal song, Kiss from a Rose. That's right, it's Lover Me, the only podcast that compares famous love songs to their many cover versions to find out which one is the high and not the pill. I'm your host, as always, the Snake, joined by my large-eyed co-host,
Alex Mildenberger.
Alex Mildenberger. How you doing, man?
Lovely. I probably made that joke last year.
Probably. We are like repeating everything all the time, always.
Yeah, I only have like 5 or 6 jokes, and they're mostly stolen.
Well, if you just keep stealing, you can kind of update the repertoire. Lately,
That's
I've been working. Did I do that? Because nobody remembers that show.
It's true. I mean, there's a handful of people who'll be like, I get it. And then it's just a reference to them, right? So, like, it doesn't matter. You can do anything you want.
Yeah, I want to go back to high school comedy where you could just be funny by quoting, like, Austin Powers.
Yeah, you just have to go around saying, "Yeah, baby," and that's
and people are like, "This dude's fucking funny."
I was thinking about that. That is mostly what we did. We mostly just quoted the same things day after day.
Yeah, just exchanged quotes to each other.
Just over and over. Like, we just like recited Rock Lobster to each other. Or whatever,
or Power Thirst videos would probably be a big one.
Yes, we did Juice Springsteen a lot.
Juice Springsteen.
Yeah. He's simpler times. Simpler times.
Now
it's university, and we're not the starting quarterback anymore. You know.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too nostalgic for the past.
But you were a legendary quarterback.
I was a legendary quarterback. So
let's not mince words here. Wasn't for that ACL you tore, you'd be in the NFL right now.
Yeah, if only I could still walk.
If only. But I tell you what, we can take a walk down memory lane, because this is a song just slightly younger than you and I.
Yeah.
And this is, to me, Alex, I usually ask you first about your memories of this song. This song sounds and smells like the back seat of an old station wagon to me, because like that's when I remember hearing this song, was in the car as a very young kid.
Because it was everywhere.
It was everywhere.
No? Yeah, I don't remember it being everywhere, I'll be honest with you, but it seems like the kind of thing that was everywhere.
Yeah, well, it would just come on the radio. It was on like the pop station. So you get like
Yeah.
Britney Spears, fucking Backstreet Boys, and then this track would come in. And to young baby me's ears, it was like, one, I didn't know any of the fucking words. I didn't know about the song's name until I was like a man. I was like, oh, there was like, what the fuck is Kiss from a Rose? I was like, oh yeah, this song. But yeah, in a time of a lot of pop music on the radio, this one cut through the mix with some weird lines and some heavy acapella, I guess.
Yeah.
Defining features.
And some other weird stuff that I had not picked up on until like this week.
Yeah. This song is bizarre. Included in 2 films. You ever see that Neverending Story 3?
No, I definitely seen the Neverending Story and maybe the second one, but I don't think I've seen the third one. If I have, I don't remember it.
A piece of shit. They're like, Neverending Story lives up to its name and we hate it or something like that.
Because it never ends?
Big review.
Burn.
Ha. Got him. Yeah, but this song somehow survived that and got to be on the Batman Forever soundtrack, along with the U2 song "Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me."
And that wasn't good enough for the love scene?
I mean, it was a U2 song, so
I don't know.
Barely good enough to make the soundtrack. Got him. Did you hear that Bono's apparently embarrassed by his U2 songs?
Like all of them?
I guess all of them. I didn't read the whole thing. It's like Bono embarrassed by U2.
Oh. I mean, even like Seal was embarrassed by this song before it made him like millions of dollars.
Yeah, I like that. That was his big turning point. He's like, well, made me a lot of money. He got me some awards.
I've seen him say like, I like it more now. Of course, who knows, right? But he still performs it and everything. It's not like,
yeah, that's like his number one banger.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the song was. I don't remember. It might have been like, I don't know. I see it's like a live performance, and then it's like the singer's like, I fucking hate this song, and then they perform it. Some rock and roll band. I don't remember the song. I don't remember the band now.
Oh,
just a clip. It's a clip.
It's a clip. It's Karma Chameleon by Boy George.
Sure. Yeah.
For all we know and care. Yeah, actually, this song you knew about it. You thought about it.
Yeah.
Has it been a big?
There's not much else to say for me. I haven't even seen the movie.
You haven't even seen the movie Batman Forever?
No.
What about the movie Blowout?
Oh, the movie Blowout. No, but I did see that there was a reference in the music video.
Blow Up, rather, is the name of the film.
But I wouldn't have gotten that.
Yeah, there's no way I was going to piece that together. What about the film The Neverending? And we already covered The Neverending Story 3. So really, just like no connections to this
song. No, not really. I mean, other than that, I knew it. You know.
What about the scene in I think the 3rd season of Community where Jim Rash and what's his name? Joel.
Yeah.
What the fuck is his name? Oh my god. Joel Soup. I'm gonna put in Joel McHale.
Joel McHale. That's right.
Sing it in a karaoke.
That I did. Yeah, that's a fun scene. I remember that.
Did you see it? Did you see that scene and go, I don't know that, or were you just
I knew the song. Like,
yeah.
I mean, there's a scene in Parks and Recreation where they sing Time After Time. Also a good scene, you know, where there's just people singing.
Also a good song.
People singing a pop song.
We love good people singing.
People
pop
singing
songs.
A song time.
We love to hear things that we recognize.
Yeah.
And baby, do I recognize this. But, I mean, rather than harp on how much we know a popular song, let's talk about how much we don't know these lyrics.
Yes.
Which begin a none.
Don't know. I mean, like you were saying earlier, famously, Seal doesn't explain these lyrics to people, you know? And I was even it's a Rick Beato video on YouTube he did about this song, and he actually called Seal, because I guess he knows him, to talk about it. And Seal was saying, yeah, if someone says, like, asks what the song is about, I say, what do you think the song is about, kind of thing. Like, he specifically avoids talking about what this song is.
Yeah, and there's a quote from him I've got here where he says, I think it's the general vibe of what I'm saying that is important, not the exact literal translation. The song is always larger in the listener's mind because with it they attach imagery which is relative to their own personal experience. So it is your perception of what I'm saying rather than what I actually say that is the key.
And I think that's the big thing about this song. That's what makes it work. Because I mean, we know the story. You already said he was kind of not a fan of the song originally. And I have to wonder if it was just like because it was from like a maybe poetic standpoint kind of half-baked to him because it's so vague. That's just a guess on my part.
Yeah, or it has me thinking of that scene in Clone High when they do the film festival. Right. And then Jones submits that like loony art house film that's like very confusing to anyone except is it like Van Gogh? Like,
yeah, something like that. One of the like artist guys like crying. Oh no, he's not crying, he's laughing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you are in love with Abe.
Oh, it's Sigmund Freud, I think. It's Sigmund Freud.
Yeah, that might be it.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's like that, where he looks at this, what is like objective. Like I would argue, and given his explanation of it being like it's what you get from it, that's a very like art house film interpretation.
Yeah,
it's like everything's kind of left loosely. So I wonder for him, he laid it all down, and for him, it's so crystal clear. It's like, oh, it's about the fucking graying tower. Oh shit, like this is so plain. Whereas everybody else is like, like a kiss from the rose on the gray. What does that mean? So it's just like two different experiences we're having, us and Seal.
Yeah. And also, like, it's another case, like, if you kind of have enough imagery in your song, it can mean a lot of things, you know? Like, he's talking about being alone, he's talking about, like, the color gray a lot, and roses and love, and, like, darkness and eyes, and shining things, and, like, obscuring things, and it's like, yeah, there's a lot of ways you can probably go with that. Especially when you're talking about like relationships, because it's a love song. It's a love song from Batman, don't you know?
From Batman and from the Neverending Story 3.
Yeah, famous love.
It's from Batman Forever. I want to be clear on that, Alex. It's not actually in the original Batman.
That's true. It's not from Batman.
Nor is it in Batman Returns. So let's open up. Because again, he talks about how it's all interpretive. So, and right off the bat, you get that with ba ya ya ba da 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 da.
And that can mean anything.
That can mean fucking anything.
I think he's talking about his mother there.
Yeah.
And how she didn't love him enough.
That's probably, I don't know. I don't want to dig into Seal's personal life. It's a bold claim to make, Alex. I can't back you on this one. What it really means is that a cappella groups are going to eat this fucking song up, is what that hook means.
Yeah.
But verse 1 starts, there used to be a graying tower alone on the sea. You became the light on the dark side of me. Loved remained a drug, that's the high, and not the pill.
Right, that's the other part of this, is there's a few references to, like, love as addiction, which is a metaphor we've come across before, and one of the metaphors in this song, as well as the light in the gray.
Yes. So the tower is graying. Is that because he's aging?
He was pretty young at the time.
I mean, but we are all getting older. We've talked about, and I am thinking about Simon and Garfunkel a lot with this line, because it also reminds me of, I'm a rock, I'm an island. But also, what's the other one where he kind of like talks? Yes. Where he's like, my life's fucking behind me, and he's like 25 or some shit. Like,
yeah, like everything's over. Yeah, I never got that, but I think it makes sense. I mean, I was thinking of it in terms of like light, but I guess that also implies passage of time. Like the tower's graying because the sun's going down, which could mean time passing, or like the sun means the light is leaving his life or whatever, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there is a real play of light and darkness here, and what does that mean? And I can't help, and I also, because the original music video he makes for this references the film Blow Up, which, did you read the plot description for that?
It's about a snuff film or something like that?
No, so it's about a guy who he's a fashion photographer, and he's taking photos of like women and stuff, and then in one of his photos he thinks he sees a murder. take place.
Okay.
And then he goes back to this location. He thinks he finds the body, and it's all about like your belief and like what is reality and what isn't. And I guess the film ends with him like seeing two mimes playing tennis, and their mime ball rolls towards him, and he like picks it up and throws it back to them.
But it's not a real ball?
Yeah, or is it? Because
okay.
how strong is belief, and how much can it's again, the question is what is real and what is imagined, and is there a line between those?
Okay.
And I can't help but think that plays into this as well when we bring in the realm of drugs, and also what is love and how can it be seen sometimes but not other times. And he asks, I mean, people kind of know the lyrics where he asks the person he's in love with if it is his obsession with them is healthy, which is not a good question to ask somebody.
It is a weird question. And that does seem to be part of it, is obsession. Of course, the healthy part is later on.
Yes. But he finds himself basically in this love in a strange place where he's not too sure of what is up and is down. Eventually is, I think, sort of the ultimate point. But starting out here, we get an idea of that in all of these dualities he's playing with the light, whether that's in the graying tower, this person becoming the light on the dark side of him, which is, and then, love remained a drug. That's the high and not the pill, which is also like can you have one without the other?
Oh,
who knows? So like you kind of laid out, there's a lot of dualities in place here, and then it kind of raises the question of like, can contradictions exist, or am I out of my mind? Like when there's a lot of just like confusion in this song, as I guess it's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, it's a lot of questions, or at least yeah, it's quite a few questions.
At least it raises a lot of questions.
Yeah,
because he says quite certainly that these things were fact. There used to be a graying tower alone on the sea, which, I mean, it gives you the idea of like, a lighthouse of solitude, and you get that image of the waves crashing up against the rocks, right? It's withstanding the elements here.
Right.
And then in his darkness, he finds this light. And then what he believes here is that love became a drug that's the high, so the good parts, and not the pill, which is, I guess, the bad. You sometimes call shitty people a pill, right? Oh, that person's a real pill. So pills kind of have negative associations. So he's saying that love remains something that is all Gucci with no bad side.
Right.
Does that check out?
For now. I think so, but again, there's... Yeah, I mean, all we know now, like, the graying tower alone, the imagery is like a lighthouse, basically. That's what I'm seeing. But and then there's the dark side of the lighthouse, usually.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be a lighthouse, I guess. And yeah, they're bringing light into his life.
I feel like it's a lighthouse, though.
It feels like a lighthouse,
just call it
right?
a tower, but it feels like a lighthouse.
There's light, there's darkness, and there's more light because the other person, and also it makes him feel good. And there doesn't seem to be any downsides.
And then I think with the lighthouse, it makes sense, too, because what is the dark side of the lighthouse if not where the light isn't shining, right?
It would make sense, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of lighthouse, and like sometimes they have a light on both sides and it rotates around, but often they don't, like they don't have to.
Yeah, and even then, they're still dark because you can still quite clearly see the two beams.
Right, yeah, it's the dark side is now just moved.
Mm-hmm. So what he's suggesting in there is this sort of impossibility that everywhere there's the dark side of me, which is anything outside of that light, has become light because you became that.
Yeah.
He's suggesting light without shadow, and then I think comparing that to a drug without a pill. A drug that is both is and is not a drug, right? He's getting into this weird realm of contradictions.
Right, things that shouldn't be able to exist.
Mm-hmm. And then things that, again, we pull into this weird realm of contradictions in the pre-chorus, but did you know that when it snows, my eyes become large and the light that you shine can't be seen?
Which, I mean, to me suggests now there are just times that doesn't feel good like that.
Right, like in times of strife, like snow is bad. Some people think snow is cocaine use.
Yeah, some people think it's drugs. I don't think it would have to be. I mean, there's like, it can make your pupils dilate, but like lots of things can make your pupils dilate, like light, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, darkness.
Sense thereof.
Darkness.
Yeah.
And like danger, I guess. So, I mean, yeah, it could be literally just like it's dark. So my pupils dilate because I can't see the light shining. And snowing is just like, I don't know, like adversity or whatever, like or something blocking him from seeing the things around him. Like I'm thinking of a snowstorm.
Yeah. And yeah, that must be because because usually when I'm thinking of snow on the ground, it actually like reflects light.
Right.
But that's not necessarily the case in a snowstorm.
Yeah. It would make it much darker.
Mm-hmm. Did you know that when it snows, my eyes become large and the light? And it's interesting because the eyes become larger to pull in light. But the light can't be seen. So yeah, you might be right in that this is simply like sometimes shit happens and I don't feel that love. I become wide-eyed, maybe scared, also looking for light, and I can't find it.
Can't see it. It's obscured by something.
Mm-hmm. But
still there. Still shining.
Still there.
But it can't be seen.
Yeah, but it can't be seen.
So kind of another contradiction, light that can't be seen. Even though most of the spectrum is not visible.
That's true.
I'm trying to remember, I read something. This is off topic, but I saw something that was like, humans are special because we can see the whole visible spectrum. Not everyone can see, not all species can see that, but it's like, we define the visible spectrum based on what we can see. Some animals can see more than us. Anyway, ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah, so everybody has different visible spectrums.
Yeah, it's just not the same. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, it's not that some animals can see invisible light. It's just like...
Yeah. Like you animals, you can't even see the whole visible spectrum. It's like, well, that's not their visible spectrum. And also, like, bees can see ultraviolet or something. So, like, whatever.
They gotta.
Anyway, sorry. Totally off topic.
Totally off topic. But I think the idea of color comes into play in the chorus, so and not seeing color. So I think it's actually a good segue into Baby. I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the gray. Ooh, the more I get of you, the stranger it feels. Yeah. And now that your rose is in bloom, a light hits the gloom on the gray. Ba-ya-ya, ba-da-da-da-da-da.
So is he kind of reversing what happened in the pre-chorus? Like first he's talking about the love and how it makes him feel, and then some things happen and it obscures the love and the light. And then now it turns around again and it feels like a new thing again?
Yeah, maybe. I wonder if there's like some element where losing the visuals he still feels like the high, the love.
Okay.
Because it does. I don't know. It doesn't sound like he's suffering in the pre-chorus, right?
Okay.
I don't know though. But so he says, "Baby, I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the gray." So immediately, what I pull from that: kisses are soft and delicate and nice. Everybody loves a kiss. And it's a rose on the gray. So rose is very vibrant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the gray is it's his tower, which is either A, him, or B, his penis.
Could be his dick.
Could be his dick.
You never know.
And it's a kiss of color on an otherwise monochrome existence, right?
Right.
So I think maybe on a base level, it's just like you brighten up my life. Like it's that simple, right?
Yeah. It's just a contrast of something that's very bright and something that is not. Gray and a rose. And just the gray is not a movie. Not a movie starring Liam Neeson, but just the color gray.
Where it's got to fight wolves.
It's got to fight wolves. And yeah, he's talking.
Don't get me started on that movie. But yeah, so it's. I think he's really just saying it's kind of just to display the intensity of the love feeling, right?
The music backs that up, I think.
Yeah, and then we come from focusing on the light to focusing on a sense of touch while also using color, but he doesn't talk about seeing the rose on the gray. It's a kiss from the rose on the gray.
Right, he can't see it because he can't see the light, but he can feel it.
Yeah, so maybe there's some sense of like faith in it, or in the same way that, again, we have a bit of this addiction, this drug reference coming on. He consumes it. He consumes the love, and so he can no longer see it, but it's inside of him, or touching him. It's on him,
and then maybe can bring the light back. It's like it's still in the gloom. Yeah, I think.
is this okay? All right. So the tower is great. The tower. If the tower is his dick, then is the snow him busting?
Yeah. I'm surprised that didn't come up earlier.
Sometimes you gotta brainstorm this stuff out.
Yeah, I mean that's all the song is about. It's like
it could be.
Ghostbusters theme.
Bustin' makes me feel good. He says, the more I get of you, the stranger it feels. Yeah. And that's kind of, that's a lot of people talk about those drugs. The more drugs you get, the more sort of removed from your base reality you get, whether that is in a short period or a long period of time. Same thing with love. It's, it's throwing them off course, off kilter.
Sure.
Same thing that happens when you take too many cold meds. Something you might relate to, Alex.
I didn't take that many cold meds.
I just know when I do these, like, oh, it's like drugs. You kind of just go like,
I'm like, oh yeah, I guess totally. It's like drugs. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you've taken too much of a regular medication once.
Consumed. I took too much cold medication, but I took it for too long of a time.
Right, it was over a long period.
Over like a month, and then I couldn't sleep for a week.
Hey, whatever you got to tell yourself, Alex.
It was putting me to sleep.
No, I'm kidding. You're all good. But yeah, so I think it's about like a mind-altering experience that is love and also drugs.
Yeah, and
like that's
being a lighthouse.
Pretty easy step. Now that your rose is in bloom, a light hits the gloom on the gray. I'm imagining the rose blooming on the tower.
Bringing the color to the gray.
Yeah, and I'm imagining like a beam of light kind of breaking through the gray and hitting the tower, and then there's like a rose and it's blooming out there. You follow me?
Yeah, I'm seeing the image.
I'm seeing the image. What does it mean for your rose to be in bloom?
I mean, I don't know how important that is. Other than that, the rose being in bloom means it's like very vibrant, right?
Yeah.
Like as opposed to before that, where it's like growing, or after that, where it's wilting. We talked about the passage of time before.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that implies the cyclical nature or something, you know?
Yeah,
because
and he's also
grow and bloom and fade and glow and bloom and fade.
Glow and bloom and fade. He's establishing like this is a weird relationship. I wonder if we're supposed to draw an element of like parasitic nature from this. Like the rose is thriving off of him, the tower, and now that the rose is in bloom because it's been feeding off of him.
He does
light hits the gloom.
Compare it to an addiction, perhaps for that reason.
Yeah, coming up. So I wonder if we're supposed to get that, or if it's just supposed to be like this big color imagery, the shining rose in the gray.
Or maybe the point is that he doesn't really know. He's just asking questions. Because, I mean, he does ask questions later on.
Yeah, he's really making statements here, though.
He is.
Is he making statements to make us ask questions?
He's just saying things are happening, and then he asks questions about them.
Yeah, because I'll tell you this. When you compare something to something, the idea is to make it easier for someone to understand. So, when he says, baby, I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the gray, that's not a scenario that people are familiar with.
True. That's just a bunch of words.
Oh, also, another term for gray. I don't know if it was hot in the 90s, but gray matter.
Brain?
The brain, baby. Rose is kissing his brain, making it act all weird. The more I get of you, the stranger it feels.
Like drugs.
Like drugs, Alex. Like cold meds taking over a month.
We're taking over a month. Dangerous stuff, man. Stay clean.
Dangerous. Stay clean out there, folks. Yeah, I think if we're going to break this down, if we're going to boil this down to base elements, again, it's the theme of dualism. We got color hitting gray, and it makes intense things happen. That's kind of the idea here.
Yeah.
It's backed by the music.
That's what I'm getting out of it.
Yeah, I think you said that like 5 minutes ago, but hey, here we are.
Yeah, I don't know
Verse
how
2.
specific we can get. Okay. Verse 2.
Verse 2, baby. There is so much a man can tell you, so much he can say. You remain, my power, my pleasure, my pain, baby. To me, you're like a growing addiction that I can't deny. Won't you tell me, is that healthy, baby?
Is that healthy, baby?
Is that healthy, baby? Baby, is that healthy?
Yeah, I don't know. The first first line, there's so much Meg can tell you, so much she can say, doesn't seem all that, significant to me, necessarily. Although, I wonder if it's one of those, a man can tell you anything, kind of, but, could be dishonest. You can say he loves you, but there's no way to know that he's telling the truth.
Right.
And then he goes on to say the exact sort of thing that you might say in that situation. You remain my power, my pleasure, my pain.
You remain my power, my pleasure, my pain. I wonder if he's saying that, I can say so much shit. I can compare you to a kiss from a rose on the gray and say all of this. But the fact remains that you remain, what it boils down to, the same way we boiled down the chorus,
right.
He's boiling down his own.
Here's his summary
here.
Of how he feels.
Yeah. You empower me, you bring me pleasure, but you are also pain. Such is love.
Such as love.
Or an addiction to medication, such as cough meds.
Yeah, exactly.
Alex. To me, a growing addiction that I can't deny. This is pretty plain. We've heard this in other songs before. Love's an addiction, baby. Love is, it makes you feel good. You want more of it, but it hurts. Don't you know that you're toxic? Come on. We know this.
Don't
you know? Don't you know? And then, like a fool, you go and ask. That's like asking your drugs.
Yeah,
it's a good idea.
Is it healthy? Because he's questioning it because of the ups and the downs, presumably.
Mm-hmm. And then that's verse 2, and then he says again, we get the pre-chorus. Did you know my eyes get large and the light you shine can't be seen? The next thing that comes up is the bridge.
Yes.
He says, I've been kissed by a rose on the gray. I've been kissed by a rose on the gray. And if I should fall, will it all go away? Those are the key lines here.
All go away. Yes, if I should fall, will it all go away?
Yeah, a kind of an addiction mindset, right? If I should fall, or should this relationship end, or should I quit using drugs? Will I ever feel good again?
Yeah, is it possible to have this from anyone else? That's what I'm hearing.
It sounds like he's looking to kick, but the planet is glowing.
Yeah, something like that. Ooh, what does that sound?
If I had to break it down.
Oh, it's a horn.
Yeah, it's emergencies on my street. You know how it is.
I do.
It's a constant emergency here.
You know how it is. Everything's an emergency. Yeah, because obviously he doesn't want, he likes the feeling, but he maybe has some second thoughts.
Yeah.
He doesn't know if it's a healthy relationship, but he's worried that that ending it will mean he's never happy again.
Exactly. He's because he was the tower in the gray, right? And now he's got a taste of color, and he's wondering if he can ever go back. Even though there are parts of this relationship with color, with roses that hurt. Because roses have thorns, Alex.
Roses do have thorns. He doesn't mention the thorns, but roses do have thorns.
They do have thorns. Tune in next week for Every Rose Has Its Thorn by Poison. I say that jokingly, but that would have been a good pick, but we're not doing it. Sorry, fans. We could do it.
Nope. It's too late now. We just said we would.
Too late now. We got at least 2 weeks of content planned out, so sorry, folks.
Yes. All right. Is that all the lyrics?
That's all the lyrics. So what we've managed to boil it down to, nothing that hasn't, I think, already been discussed in the 28 years of Kiss from a Rose discourse.
No, it kind of has that feeling. It has a feeling of being like poetic and having metaphors. So, yeah, it's the sort of song people talk about.
To boil it down, it's about dualism, the space between those two things, whatever those two are, light and dark, color and no color, drugs and no drugs, highs and pills, and the overwhelming of your senses in that space, whatever that space may be or represent to you.
And
how's
wondering if that is bad, basically.
Yes. Questioning the value of it one way or another.
Yes, questioning the value. I like that better.
Yeah, that's the clinical takedown, baby.
Yeah, we did it.
I mean, it wasn't the prettiest dissection, but I think we got somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, there are words. They mean things. For the most part.
I'm going to take that sound clip and just replace every
whole
analysis we've done with that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the lyrics. There are words, they mean things.
They mean things. Probably about love or drugs or something. Sometimes both.
All right, let's move on to the instrumentation.
We should talk about the instrumentation.
We should.
I mean, they're both interesting, but this is also very interesting. It's a pretty...
Yeah, I think if you didn't have the Trevor Horn production on this to back up, and Seal's vocals, he's a killer singer.
Oh, definitely.
Let's get those 2 points out of the way. Like, that's what sells the lyrics that nobody understands.
Yes, is the performance. Absolutely.
Yeah, the vocal layering right off the bat and the ba-ya-ya-ya-ya-yas.
Yeah, there's a few sections that are like mostly a cappella, but this is, right off the bat. So it's a lot of tracks of Seal, and he does his harmonies, and he does lots of cool chords. I mentioned earlier, I watched this Rick Beato video where he breaks the song down. One of the things he mentioned is that it is... I mean...
Pretty rad.
That's pretty rad. No, he's talking about the harmony, the chord progression. It uses modal interchange. Ooh. And all that means is that it's in G minor or whatever. And instead of using a G minor chord, it uses a G major chord. Wow.
So what effect does that have?
What effect does that have? It's a good question. I think it just... I mean, obviously, it's dependent on context. But in this context, I think it makes it a little more... Like raising something a half step like that. Really, you're only changing one note.
Right.
And I tried to make something not fall and I made it fall. It makes it sound like a little more positive. Like at the end. The right. Home, which is often how like a tonic chord is described as home right. in the key.
Yeah, it's where things resolve, right?
Yeah, is like a little bit more positive as opposed to the minor version.
Okay, that
so
makes
sometimes
sense.
It can like evoke a little bit more hope. I don't know exactly how I would describe its use here.
That's interesting because from what we've talked about, and I did compare it to Ashes, which we talked about last week. Ashes to Ashes is a drug addict who knows he's a drug addict and is trying to sever the ties and live with what he's done. Whereas Kiss from a Rose is a drug addict in the throes of the drug. So kind of riding that high still a little. So where Ashes to Ashes, I'm just guessing, probably doesn't resolve on a major. This one does, and that gives you that different sense.
I don't know about Ashes to Ashes.
But I mean, we've talked about them. You know the feel of Ashes to Ashes. You know the feel of this.
I do. Definitely got.
There's much more uncertainty in that piece, whereas this one still a little uncertainty. But yeah, you're right to note that undercurrent of like up.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
It's not. Yeah, it's not overwhelming, but it does. It leans up.
But it's interesting for a couple of reasons. Other than that, it's in 3/4 time. Which is, I mean, most of the songs we talk about are in 4/4. This one happens to not be. So there's 3 beats. So that's kind of neat. And then the other thing it does is one I think that contributes to the feel of it quite a bit, and that is it uses like parallel fifths or something. I don't know if it's necessarily parallel, but it uses fifths, which makes it sound a little bit like Ren Fairy.
Yeah. We do also get a flute in this.
Yeah, the flute from the orchestration definitely helps with that. But it's an interesting feeling that it creates, because there's points in this song where I was like, oh yes, this could be like a part of a Jethro Tull song, like a middle Jethro Tull song.
Oh yeah, that would be sick. A Jethro Tull cover of this song?
Yeah, which would be interesting. But I guess, sorry, there are some Jethro Tull songs that have a lot of like vocal tracks on them, but it has that feeling at times. of like being a Ren Fair thing, which is going to come up later in one of the covers. So look forward to that.
Look forward to that. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of what comes in after the a cappella intro is a piano and flute and string section.
Yeah.
So nothing that would be out of place at a Ren Fair. Except maybe that massive of a string section. I wonder if this is the SARM Orchestra or the beginnings of it.
It could
We, of course,
be.
talked about them last week on
Yeah.
Ashes to Ashes.
This is just earlier. Well, we know that the producer, Trevor Horn, does that kind of production and orchestration.
Mm-hmm.
So weird.
Yeah, it's really like, it's a very mellow introduction. It's very just like, you get a little bit of driving presence to keep things moving forward. But we're getting high register from Seal and just kind of a smooth intro.
That's
which is
true.
interesting because on verse 2, he really kicks it up.
He does,
on
but it
this
takes
one,
a while.
We're taking it gentle.
Verse 2 kind of has a fake out.
Yeah.
Because
That's right.
like he keeps it very soft, and like the first verse is mostly the piano chords, and like there's some guitar arpeggios, and of course Seal's singing.
Yeah.
And then allegedly the pre-chorus, which I guess it is because it's more of like almost a refrain section that gets repeated, but it just sounds like the rest of the verse mostly. And then like your big orchestration pickup for the chorus, and then that big orchestration pickup also happens halfway through the second verse.
That's
but
right.
then it just goes back into the verse. Like it wasn't a chorus. They're just pretending. But it even says baby.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning of the chorus, and you're like, oh, there's a chorus already, but no. There's more verse.
There's more verse.
Yeah, he gets really into the fake out.
Gets into that fake out.
But yeah, there's quite a lot of chords going on, It's his voice and it's also the orchestra.
Yeah, very rich backing.
Yeah, one of the I'll bring up this Rick Beato video again because and I have mixed feelings about Rick Beato, but Seal was actually he actually talked to Seal in the episode, so that was interesting. He kind of asked him, where the idea for the chord progression came from, and what Seal said was at the times he was younger and didn't realize that it was sort of things you weren't necessarily supposed to do. One of the examples is he goes directly from, I think, he either goes from a major seventh to a minor seventh, or from like a dominant seventh to a minor seventh. Can't remember.
And that's a music no-no, folks.
And that's just like, it's just like not that common, but it just kind of sounds cool because it's a little less common.
Right.
So, yeah, basically, that's what he said.
Yeah.
He was just like younger, so he just kind of, you do whatever sounds good, which is probably what you should do anyway.
Good.
But
yeah, but it might not be your first instinct if you're a little more.
Yeah, if you've established like a
conventional
style and you
training,
have ideas about how you like to make things, it's hard to break out of that.
It is. That is interesting. So yeah, like people know this song. We know what it is. You get the big build in the pre-chorus to the chorus. Oh, baby, welcome back to my girlfriend. It's big. It's huge. He sings out. From there, we go back to verse 2, which you talked about. We get the fake out on Baby. We also get the my power, my pleasure, my pain line, which is, I think, the precursor to that fake out, but also part of the fake out, I guess. I guess that's all just the fake out.
It's like part of that. It's part of the build.
Yeah, it really feels like they could just, because everything hits on that rise. My power, the strings and everything team up on that. And then he goes, baby, and drags us right back down. It's a good move.
Yeah, and a lot of good vocal runs on this too. Like that example where he just kind of smoothly runs from one section into the next.
Yeah, when people do vocal runs, they want to be Seal and Kiss from a Rose.
Yeah.
That's who makes it sound good.
It's like Seal or Mariah Carey, basically.
Yeah.
Maybe other examples, but mostly those.
Those are the big ones.
The other cool thing, I guess, the other section of this song is the bridge.
Which, kills.
Which, of course, big on the harmonies, lots of the vocal layers. And then they bring in, they got the strings still going, lots of strings.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like some build, and then bring in like that harpsichord, which definitely adds to that like Ren Fair feel
Yeah.
that I was not expecting from this song. Like I didn't know the song well enough, and I was like, "What is this shit? Like, what's going on here?"
Yeah, this song is like even like weird for its time. And it pulls on some things that I think are present in that. Like flute wasn't unheard of.
Yeah, I mean it's still orchestration, but like
song. Yeah.
you get some of those. I mean, the orchestra has so many parts, so if you start to focus on one, it's like you did that on purpose, right? Like it's a decision you made, but it's definitely an interesting one.
Yeah,
and it's cool. It's cool.
It's cool. I think where this song stands out as a demo is the fact that there is only 2 verses, though. Like, it's pretty cool that Seal didn't want to make any more, and then just was like, all right, we'll do the second verse again.
Right, they just do the second verse again, and then, like, the chorus, but they do it twice, so it's longer.
Yeah. And we've talked about a few songs that have done that similar thing, where it's like, well, it was a demo, and then we just chucked on like another the verse again, or a verse and chorus again, or just a bunch of choruses.
Just there wasn't time or energy or desire to write anything else.
Yeah, exactly. So they just knock it out as is, and the music just carries it, right? Because you're sold at this point. If you're not sold on "Kiss from a Rose" by the point the second verse comes again, like you've changed the station.
Yeah, and like I never realized it was just repeated.
Me neither.
So it works, man.
Yeah, and like as a kid who didn't understand music, like when songs like this came on, I was just waiting for the chorus, and on this one, it's very apparent that is like the dopamine hit.
Yeah,
because that's what I was waiting for as a kid. Did not give a shit about verses as a child, I'll tell you that.
I liked intros, I think, a lot.
Intros, yeah, for sure. Well, like choruses, come on, buddy.
Yeah, that's the big part. That's the big hit.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what David Bowie is known for too. Big choruses. Not that most people don't have big choruses, but
that man knew how to make a big chorus.
Yeah, exactly.
And we break down to, of course, just him singing at the end. He sings the Roses in Bloom.
Yeah. And then a little bit of strings, and then it just kind of that's the end.
Yeah. A real sense of cinematic presence, a real Ren Fair presence, a real pop presence. "Kiss from a Rose" by Seal.
Yeah, it's got a lot going on.
Sure does. You know what else it has going on? Two music videos.
Two music videos.
One luckily we've already talked about.
Mentioned earlier.
Yeah, to Blow Up, a film that was like an Italian director's first full English language film. I want to watch it having read the plot summary because it sounds interesting.
Does
but
sound
I've also just read the plot summary and already know everything to expect. But yes, this is set in a photo studio, co-directed by Matthew Rolston and William Levin. Matthew Rolston does quite a few music videos and things like that. I think he trained under Andy Warhol for some time.
Oh, okay.
And he did this video, which heavily references Blow Up. It primarily takes place in a blue photo studio, Seal playing the role of the photographer, shooting a woman in a black dress. Yes,
yeah, I have a question about, because the version I watched on YouTube has like a brief segment from a Seal interview at the start.
That's not the version I watched.
Okay, well then they must have added it. I wasn't sure if that was part of the legit video or not.
What does he say in the interview?
He just says something like, "I'm only as good as what music is there." I like the music on it. So yeah, and then it fades into the it's kind of superimposed, or the video's superimposed over it. Like you can see it's like clear over top, and then it fades into the video. But I think I missed part of it because the very beginning of that video shows like some other girls, maybe.
Okay, the beginning I've got is like very sensual. It's shirtless Seal, and then it cuts to him, and it cuts to the model who will be like the primary subject here, and she's laying around. She does some dancing. She grabs these feather boas.
Yeah,
super
see that
horny.
part is like distorted for me because it's actually on top of an interview.
Okay, so you must have
found a better version.
No sweat. These things happen.
But it's only that part.
Yeah, like we're relying on VHS recordings from because this music video doesn't get airplay after like 95, right? Because then we get the Batman Returns version.
Right. Yes. Okay, I see them dancing.
So the fact that we're able to find any rip is, important. And then we get him on these streets. So a lot of him is him in a suit singing on this street that's supposed to be just outside the studio.
Yeah, it kind of goes back and forth between that. Like, it's mostly the photo shoot, and he's the photographer, and seems to be pining after the model, like he's kind of staring at her somewhat creepily, and then it'll cut to him on the street singing the song.
Yeah. Well, he's staring at her with a camera.
He is. But, like, his facial expression is kind of like, and maybe that's normal if you're a photographer, I don't know.
Maybe. To me, it seemed like they were... it seemed like there was intimacy between them, and the camera was just the conduit.
Yeah, I suppose so. Maybe that's there. Whoop.
And then, of course, I don't know how much of this is, besides obviously the fact that it's a fashion photographer in the film Blow Up, and also these two other models come to distract him. And I know in the film Blow Up, he has sex with two aspiring models. Like,
yeah,
it's such a weird choice of inspiration, and comparing it to the very sterile Batman Returns music or Batman Forever music video, it's quite different because this one is very sexually charged.
Yeah, what I got out of it was he's photographing. Anyway, the model, this photo shoot, they have some sort of vaguely romantic interaction, and then she ends up rejecting him.
Yeah, she leaves on the street.
Yeah. And then there's two other models there that he seems to interact with. But that's after you see him on the street with them, so it seems like the street is just the future.
Yeah, I guess.
So
he drives away from those two models.
Yeah, so he has... What I got from it was like she's left him. He's sad. He's filling the void with these two other models. They're either mad or still want... the relationship or something. That was unclear to me, but he's trying to get away from them.
They didn't seem too angry because they were kind of like smiling after he left.
True, they don't seem angry. So they're like, hey, let's do whatever, and then he's like, no, I actually love this other model, not you two models.
Yeah.
And that seems to be after she left, and then it shows them back in the studio, and it has the shot from Blow Up where he's kneeling over her. From the Blow Up poster.
Okay, yeah.
Probably in the movie as well. And like taking photos of her. He's basically straddling her as she like rides on the floor. And he photographs her. That's what I got out of it.
I think you've got the right amount of maybe, yeah. Because they're chasing after him when he leaves there. I'm watching that part now. And then they smile. So they must be like, geez, we'll get him next time. Like, surely Seal will bone down on us.
Yeah, he's a photographer. We're the models. Not can keep us apart.
Yeah. And then he's in that same studio with them, and then she leaves. I wonder if it's because he took on these two models, if we're supposed to see that as a betrayal. Given how intimate that photo shoot was, I have to assume he straddles all of his models.
Could be. She was like, hey, I thought you only straddled me as a model. In a professional context.
Yeah. So maybe it's a story of a man acquiring too much power, much like Seal did after the release of his first album, Seal.
Too much power, too much pleasure, too much pain.
Yeah, too much, too young, too fast, as Motley Crue would say.
They might. We should ask them.
We should, I was going to get them on, but they were busy with their farewell tour again.
Still?
Motley Crue, we swear to God, it's the last time. But yeah, this is Kiss from a Rose, the original music video.
Yeah.
What we get next is the Joel Schumacher directed one, obviously the tie-in for the Batman soundtrack, and really just most well known for the half that is Seal performing in front of the bat signal.
Yeah, it just swaps between that. So, I mean, it starts with the Batmobile because it's shot from the movie, but then it switches to Seal singing next to the bat signal with his unbuttoned shirt. Probably seems like a very silky shirt.
Yeah.
It's open anyway.
It's
And
open
then-
shirt. We got the wind machine blowing.
Yes, we do. And then it just switches between that and various shots from the movie. So,
Yeah.
there's one bit with a bat flying at the camera. I don't know if that's in the movie
Yeah, I don't know either.
because I haven't seen the movie, but it might be
It's been years since
over
I've
a
seen it.
monologue of some kind. Lots of shots. It's just Val Kilmer, Nicole Kidman, and Jim Carrey, and Tommy Lee Jones, who are all in the movie.
Yeah, all-star cast here. My favorite shot, if you go to 256, as I find it to be particularly funny.
2:56. There's one that I have as well. It's a little earlier than that. 2:56 is when his head's back.
Yeah. It's just we get the shot of Batman turning into
And then Val Kilmer turns his head and is like, oh. The one I liked is 2:35 when he says fall down. If I should fall, and Batman is falling.
Yeah, he's falling.
That was my favorite part. He's jumping down or falling or something. But yeah, really, it just jumps back and forth between those two things. There's not really a narrative here other than the story of the Batman movie, which it doesn't try to get across. There's a lot of shots of kissing,
kiss.
so I assume they took all the shots that involve kissing and put them in this, because why wouldn't you, right?
Exactly. But yeah, overall, even with those shots of kissing, it's mostly just Batman promo footage.
Yeah. So, which is cool.
far less
Batman's
horny
cool,
than
but
the
also,
original.
there's not a
Batman's
whole
cool.
lot to say about it.
No. Even despite the fact that I think him singing in front of the bat signal is also cool.
It is.
I wanna sing in
mean,
front of
it
the bat
looks
signal.
good.
Looks good. You look good though. You know what else looks good? Our time right now. We're doing great for time, but we gotta pick up and move along here. Anything else critical to say about these music videos?
No, not really.
Let's talk about covers.
Yeah, let's talk about some covers.
Cover me, cover me. I'm trying to add a little more radio flair to this show.
Radio Flair. Let's talk about the
Radio
Buffalo
Flair.
Chips in 1997.
Baby, I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the grave. Ooh, the more I get of you, the stranger it feels. Yeah.
Oh yeah!
All right, they're an a cappella group. They have been around for a while, actually. I think about 27 years. So this is like an early version of the group. The article I read seemed to think they were very good, but also it's an article from 2021, so it is not presumably any of the same people as are in this recording from 1997.
That makes sense. Now, Alex, I can tell you that they are UB's premier lower voices a cappella group, and they were 2021 ICCA finalists.
Yeah, quick question though. What's UB?
Underbutt.
It's a university.
I should have said under boob. It's got to be University of Burma. I don't know.
Buffalo?
University at Buffalo.
Buffalo? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's weird. It's not the University of Buffalo.
No, it's at Buffalo.
At Buffalo. Never seen that.
Huh. It's very, very close to the Canadian border because Buffalo is right on the border.
That's interesting. So I'll be real with you, Alex. This is not the most interesting a cappella cover.
I'm gonna be real,
but
with
it is
you,
one of the.
Jake.
Yes.
This is a shit a cappella cover.
You're right. I think you're 100% right. That said, the reason I put it on is mostly to have a representative of the larger trend, which is like 50% of the covers of Kiss from a Rose are a cappella covers.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? There's a lot of vocal focus in the original, and in particular, there's a lot of vocal harmony. Now, in the original, It's all different tracks of Seal doing it, but in theory, this should be a great song for an a cappella group because they can do all the harmonies and all the interesting. I'm gonna say harmonies again.
But yeah, you get that
in the original
intro hook, the baya ya bada dadas, and you get the bridge. That's two gifts to an a cappella group for free from Seal.
Yeah, it should be a wonderful gift. Unfortunately, this just. I mean, they just don't do a good job of it. I don't like. They don't do interesting harmonies really. The harmonies they do are very basic, and in the original, there's a lot of like overlapping lines and different tracks kind of singing different things over each other, and they just like don't do that stuff. They just do like
and it's
very
something that
basic harmonies.
we've seen university a cappella groups do that for songs that don't even have complex like vocal harmony.
Yeah, it's just shocking.
Yeah,
Like how much they flubbed it.
this is such an easy hit for an a cappella group to knock out, and they just were like, half-baked, it's very low energy, because what sells the original is like the vocals hit and the instrumentation hits. Like it has energy behind it. So, and you can provide that with a cappella. We've seen people do that, and these guys decided to do a mellow cover with non-complex harmonies.
Yeah, it's also slower, so it just kind of feels sluggish.
Yeah, it drags.
Yeah. And it's not even as long as the original. Like I think they cut out the repeat of the verse.
Yeah.
Second verse. So yeah, there's just I don't know, and their soloist is just not like Seal sings so strongly. It's unfortunate that the soloist here just isn't doing that great a job.
Yeah. And yeah, it's important to note that Seal sings both like strongly in the soft parts, like the first verse, and of course in the big, like bellowing, punching moments. You know, baby, he fucking hits it.
Yeah.
So it's tough to meet up to that, but you've got to do that, or at least use the a cappella advantage of numbers. Yes,
definitely. They should be able to support it somehow with a group singing as opposed to the soloist, but unfortunately they don't. It also, I mean, it is like university recording, a group from a university recording in the late 90s. So it might just be a bad recording. Because it kind of sounds like it's like one mic in a room and they're standing on a choir risers,
right,
or something, with like a mic suspended over them. I hope not. But it does kind of have that sound to it. Like it's
sure does.
So yeah, it's not great. It's not even good.
No, it's bad. But I needed a representative from the acapella trend, and like the actual first acapella cover I pulled had instruments in it. So I wanted something that was pure acapella. This is what came up. Not very good.
Yeah. Presumably they've improved because they were finalists in something.
Yeah, they were finalists. So maybe they've got some fresh talent in there. Some things have really changed in the old university at Buffalo.
Oh, that's why they're called the Buffalo Chips.
See, I was too distracted by their logo being a reference to, I think, the TV show Chips.
Chips, yeah. Which is really California, right?
Yeah,
California Highway Patrol is what Chips is?
Yeah, California. Yeah, that would make sense.
So, anyway, they're not in California, they're in Buffalo. But Buffalo Chips is poop. So.
Oh, I just thought it was like buffalo flavored chips.
No, yeah, the buffalo, like spicy chips. I'm pretty sure it's like dried buffalo poop.
Dried buffalo poop.
Chips.
All
you
right,
can burn it. I think
more interesting.
Like fuel a fire
than the whole cover. Yeah, I imagine you'd be able to do that. Oh yeah, it would smell like dry buffalo poop.
Yeah,
not
when it's
spicy
burning.
Poops.
Spicy poops. Set them on fire. But yeah, that's what that is. If you want to know about them, their page is currently under construction, so be patient.
That was hilarious about us. This is under construction, is it? You can write 2 paragraphs.
Yeah.
Well, we've got more than 2 paragraphs to say about our next act, who is Louis Represa in 2001.
I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the grave. The more I get of you, the stranger it feels, yeah. And now that your rose is in bloom, I light it.
Yes. Portuguese singer-songwriter. Usually when we talk about songs, or not, this isn't in Portuguese, but song artists who
world musicians
speak Portuguese, we talk about people from Brazil, but this is like Portugal Portuguese.
Yeah, born in Lisbon. Is Lisbon Portugal?
Yep.
Cool.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and so he's a founder of the band Travante, which is apparently like a big, like local band Portugal band. I had to look on the Portuguese Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's where I am. I don't know much about.
I don't know much about the band themselves, but it came up on
Yeah.
his page, and it seems like they've got a few hits. So that's kind of his claim to fame. Then he's got his solo work, which this would be. And he's like I think he's represented as like a rock/pop artist.
Yeah, like singer-songwriter is the description I see, which is pretty vague, but it's usually
Pretty
like on the
vague.
pop side.
Yeah, that's a vocalist who writes lyrics. Like that could be anything.
Yeah.
But here he brings in like a sort of gospel soul backing vocals right off the bat.
Yes. My general feel of this song is, or this version,
Mhm.
the backup vocals are very good, and they totally
Yes.
overshadow him.
100%.
Like-
It's not the last time we're going to hear about that this episode,
Yeah.
but you're right. He's very very low key. It's almost talk singing. Very too chill for these massive, powerful women. My power, my pleasure, my pain.
Yeah, they like really go, and honestly, they probably would have been. They're like if they'd done the whole song, it would be much better. But unfortunately,
Yes.
he takes like the lead, and it's just
Mhm.
not. I don't know. His voice isn't that interesting. The orchestration just gets replaced by like sustained guitar chords in like not really an interesting way.
I will
doesn't
say that
sound
the
great.
guitar eventually gets interesting.
True, it sounds better
It
later.
has
on.
a solo that sounds pretty nice, and then it seems like they tweak the filters and sound on it. It comes out better in the end.
Yeah, early
you're
on,
right.
it's not as strong.
No,
Um,
and it suffers from trying to do the same moves as the original because there's still a flute there, there's still strings there, there's still piano there, but it all just sounds a little cheaper, right? It just sounds like a President's Choice version of "Kiss from a Rose" with some killer
and-
backing vocals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, his performance is unfortunately questionable,
Mm-hmm.
or at least it doesn't rise up to the like standard set by the rest of the voices. So
Yeah, if we'd maybe
Mm.
coupled those backing vocals with a little more brass or something, really lean into their element. Because you can still pull on that energy of the original, but give it a new coat of paint and a new flavor of vocals, you'd get a good, solid cover here.
yeah, but and I agree. I think with what you said because I think this is what you said about the guitar later on.
Mhm.
It plays the like da 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 da. Play that on the guitar. That sounds really good on a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't really do much with that, and I really think there's like a strong like rock guitar version possible.
Yeah, I agree.
But this doesn't really hit that, and particularly the lead vocals fall flat.
Yeah, and it's kind of a problem. And I was thinking about it because, of course, Meatloaf passed away just yesterday as we're recording this.
Mhm.
And immediately my brain's like, oh, do we have to do another Meatloaf tribute episode? And the problem we found with I'd Do Anything for Love is so many of the songs, so many of the covers just end up being like karaoke versions of the original. And we're kind of getting some of that in here as well. Both Buffalo Chips and Louis Represa, they have some new elements, but it feels like both of these groups just want to be Seal for a minute. And so you do as close a cover as you possibly can, right?
Right, to show off your pipes, but
Mm-hmm.
they both kind of didn't.
Yeah, they both did not. And just kind of played a little too safe, because you're right in that we don't really get a version that we talk about today that full on leans into that rock and roll version. We get a heavy metal version, which we're about to talk about, but like, yeah, just rock with that hard guitar on it? Not quite.
Yeah, it's got to exist somewhere, or if it doesn't, it will.
It will, yeah, because there's just the potential for it. But yeah, this one doesn't hit that potential. The guitar sounds good playing that melody riff. Falls short of the mark. What else is there to say, Alex?
How much else? Oh, he gets a chant right at the end. The ending is a cappella, but it's just Louis or Louis.
Yeah.
And it's like, just drew more attention to it.
Yeah, it's puts you to sleep, man.
Yeah.
Alex, we've been talking a lot about Ashes to Ashes this week. Another reference to our last week's episode. We're talking about Northern Kings again.
Yeah. Already.
2008.
Of course, we talked about Seal last week, too.
That's right. This is very tightly knit. Everything's connecting.
Northern King.
The Finnish symphonic power metal cover supergroup.
Supergroup, yeah. It's weird, I thought. It's a symphonic metal group, right? Weird that the band is considered to be those four guys. We're like, there's a whole symphony, right?
Right.
Anyway, just a thought I had.
Yeah, it is. They really are portrayed as the four lads, particularly in their music video.
Yeah. Which we will talk about. So this version, this is an interesting one. I say that a lot, but this one I have some evidence for it. The intro of this sounds very like RuneScape.
Yeah.
They go definitely have the Ren Fair feeling. It's on like a Celesta or something.
Yes.
I heard someone say Celesta. I don't think that's right though.
Shit, dude.
But maybe that's an option. Anyway, I'm going to keep saying Celesta because I'm pretty sure that's correct. But maybe it doesn't matter. Although if it's Italian, I'm not sure.
Celesta.
But yeah, it does. It sounds like RuneScape. It has like a harp, and that's Celesta, and like pizzicato strings. Reminds me of RuneScape. That's all. But it's just that. It starts with just the symphony stuff, and then it breaks into the rock later on.
Yeah, and then we get into those heavy notes again. So where their power metal comes in is they just like to hit certain notes pretty heavy.
Right. They come in with the guitars.
As we talked about last week, yeah.
And then come into their voices. So here's what's weird about this one. Is I mentioned back in the first version, and it's true of all the other versions except for this one, that is in 3/4 time typically. But what they've done is they have added a beat per measure and have changed it to 4/4 time.
Okay.
And that's why
what makes it
feels weird.
It
feels like they're stretching something, and they do stretch some words out. To get it into 4/4 time. And the reason that's so interesting to me is usually to have that kind of a feeling of having an extra beat, you need to use like an odd time signature, like 5/4 or 7/8 or 15, 16, something weird, something that isn't easy to pair into groups of two. But this has like the most common time signature ever in music we listen to. And it still feels a little off kilter, which I thought was interesting, just because we know the original so well.
Yeah, that is very interesting. I notice it mostly on the "Did you know when it snows" part, because you feel the empty space there. The "Did you know," and then you get actually like a beat that when it snows.
Such a strong like group of three section. Da 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 da.
See, that is interesting that you can bring something to common time and make it sound uncommon.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's just because it's a little awkward because they had to stretch things out.
Yeah. Well, they're also Finnish. So English isn't their first language, right?
Sure.
So there's more room for them to stretch and bend words that, I mean, I imagine these guys probably know some English, but it's less meaningful to them, right?
Yeah, they might pronounce something in a way that would sound very strange to us.
Yeah.
But not have another thought about it. They'd be fine.
Yeah. So the timing on this is interesting. Their vocals are, we talked about them before, they do deliver like a power performance. All four of these dudes are vocalists, and they trade off the lines and then come together on certain lines.
Yeah, which I don't know how I feel about that. They trade off quite a bit. I guess it's fine. There's not much in the way of like vocal harmonies, which maybe doesn't make sense in a metal context anyway.
No, I guess they go for the power over harmony, where they'll have several. I'm singing "Baby" at the same time to punch it.
Right, they'll join in together sometimes.
A baby.
And then the harmony comes from the strings or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And they hit the energy on this. It feels quite intense. There's not as much low spots or like quietude as there is in the original. But they do find moments to really change the energy, punch it up. They do a good job on making that bridge a little spookier, a little low. There's good orchestration on this, especially compared to the last two we've talked about.
Definitely stronger orchestration. They have that going for them.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, there was one thing I wanted to mention. I thought it was a little strange, and I can't remember. It sounds like another song. So the ends of their verses, in particular, remind me of. It sounds like The Who. Like I can't remember what song it is though. If you go to like 104.
Okay.
I can't put my finger on what it is. Sounds like a song by The Who, I think. But I can't remember which one.
If y'all know it, let us know.
Yeah. But it's bugging me. Anyway, there's that. But yeah, I mean they got some decent big orchestra stuff. This doesn't do, like I mentioned before, I think there's a really good rock guitar version. This doesn't do this doesn't provide what I want.
Was imagining. Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
And like you said, it leans more into that Ren Fair, a little more of that symphonic. It's more theater than it is rock and roll.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it. And it never really like kicks out in the same way as even the original gets so much like power out of the chorus.
Mm-hmm. And
I don't know
if you
exactly
listen
why,
to this versus the original, like even the orchestration is not punching as hard as this is, and yet it gets a stronger result.
Yeah, and one of the things I don't want to. No, I won't bring that up yet. Cut that.
Okay. I'm not. I refuse to cut it.
Okay.
The people of the audio raw, Alex. They like every single fuck up. I love it all.
Well, they're gonna get lots then.
They're gonna get lots. They've been getting lots for years. Yeah, they got a dark bridge section. Yeah, I think the energy on this one is it's a matter of it starts heavy in those verses. We get heavier and bigger in the chorus, but the comparison is not as much, right?
Yeah,
you don't feel as much
the range
lift.
isn't as much.
Mm-hmm. So, like, in terms of songs we talked about so far that like hit the mark of getting some essence of the original, these guys are definitely the closest so far. But yeah, it doesn't hit the peaks that the original does. It's also a bit long, and we're going to talk about the music video, which is a minute shorter.
Oh yeah, the music.
And watching
video.
the music video, I didn't feel like anything was lost in the.
No. Might have been distracted though.
Yeah, that could be. There's a lot of shit going on in that music video. Let's talk about it right now.
Okay, there's candles. That's the only important
tons
part.
of them. It's real. So we basically got two scenes. We got this weird cello playing woman.
Yeah, a nude woman wearing a white mask playing a cello. So she's holding the cello in front of herself.
Pagan ritual room.
So you can
a lot of candles.
TV.
There's a dead bear rug.
She has stiletto heels on.
She's got stiletto heels on. She's doing weird shit.
And there's that.
You want to talk about Ashes to Ashes references? These pictures kind of remind me of that.
What do, sorry?
So the Ashes to Ashes.
No, I know.
All I'm doing this week is like this. So she's got the paintings of these guys on the wall.
Oh yes, the paintings
alive in them. So it reminds me of that picture in a picture bit we get in the Ashes to Ashes music video.
That is true. That does happen in Ashes to Ashes. Except in this one, it goes like to like vignette filter and just shows the band like fucking around. Shows them getting fitted for their tuxedos they wear on the album art. Shows them recording the song.
That's
occasionally it syncs up. So like it'll be the line they're performing when recording, which honestly I think should happen more often in these sorts of videos, because often it's just a bunch of footage of them recording and you think it syncs up, but it doesn't.
Hasn't been synced. Yeah.
They're just singing whatever. But here you can quite clearly see it's the same line.
See, I did like that it was synced up. I think my biggest problem with this video is that there's no resolution as to what the nature of the spooky woman is. And why she has these paintings of them.
She just kind of gallivants around the room, mostly plays cello. One time she holds a sword. She also kind of straddles a bear rug.
That's right.
The bear rug, if you will.
The bear rug.
And that's kind of it.
That is kind of it. And
okay, all right, here's another thing. So, when they say gray, it kind of sounds like they're saying grail. And she also has a grail or chalice in this video. Connection? No idea. Maybe.
No idea. And that is what that's what bugs me about this video. Is that there is no real storyline, though there are suggestions of one.
Yeah, it seems like there would be, but then it's like, did they just want to get this woman in a room with the mask and nothing else?
Yeah, and then
is she really playing the cello? I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no way to know. But yeah, it's kind of your classic. It's basically if we took the Metallica music video for Nothing Else Matters, made it black and white, and put in interstitials of a creepy cello woman. There you have it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a fine little promo footage. Just like the song itself, it's good. Is it mind blowing? Yeah, and that's what happens when I put on an artist we've talked about before. Sometimes we find that it's just like, oh, this is just kind of their thing. Like they're all kind of similar covers.
Yeah,
that's it. I still think these guys got a pretty good vibe, but yeah,
they got a decent thing going on. I was wanting something different out of this song, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. But we're about to get something different in the form of The Arrival in the year of our Lord 2009.
Yeah, and allegedly also various artists, although it's not clear.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just from it being on a compilation album more than it being...
Probably. It seems to just be the band.
Each one on the album has... Yeah. So I think it's just because it's been listed as a compilation, and maybe at the time it was listed, the artist listing system on Spotify was different. You know how these things go.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Arrival.
The Arrival. There's a few groups with either the name The Arrival or Arrival. Plus there's a movie called Arrival, which has a soundtrack.
That's right.
So that made it a little bit difficult to figure out who they were. The only thing their Spotify description says is that they were big on MySpace, kind of.
Yeah, which while being minimal, it kind of tells us everything. It informs also why this track sounds the way it does.
Yeah,
they're MySpace era emo band, right?
Yeah, they're like kind of emo pop rock.
Yeah.
And honestly, this version is like the closest to the rock guitar version that I have envisioned.
Yeah. This had the potential to be a lot better than it comes out as, I think.
Potentially.
Because what throws me off, you do get like the guitar, you do get some rock guitar, but for some reason we bring in like electronic drum kit and electronic dance rhythms and samples.
Yeah, that's particularly on the breakdown where they kind of bring in like more of like a pop beat, electronic beat sort of thing.
Yeah, and right on the verse opening too, we get that hand clap, which is like a real like electronic dance staple.
That's true.
Which immediately throws me off.
So it's not the like ideal, it's not the like platonic ideal of like the rock and roll version, but I think it has some strong stuff. Or at least they played to their own strengths, unlike some of the other versions, which like I'm thinking of the Buffalo Chips and Louis in particular. In that it seemed like if they were stronger vocalists, it would have gone a lot better. In this, there's so much compression on it, it doesn't really matter. They don't need to be super strong vocalists. And another thing, I'll bring up the Rick Beato video again. He mentioned is that there's not a lot of compression on the original version. It's the dynamic range is allowed to exist and be created by the artists and affected by the artists, where this is like total opposite of that. There's a lot of pitch correction and there's a lot of compression.
Yeah, and I think that's more a stylistic choice for these guys. It
absolutely, and it definitely plays to their strengths, because it's not like, because this compared to the other one, I can't look at this and be like, it's all shit and they're terrible at what they do. It's like, no, because they've like mixed it in a way that makes that wouldn't be a problem if it were true. I don't know. And they bring in some good elements from there. I like that they hit those crash cymbals a lot near the end of the chorus. I like the pop rock elements that are in this. I think they needed to lean on it a little more heavy, because we still do get a lot of stuff that is just like lifted to be from Kiss from a Rose. Like we get some string synth in there that is just to be like, hey, like Kiss from a Rose. Yeah. And we get the weird ass like dance elements. And I'm not against dance versions, but I don't think it mixes particularly well here. Yeah, it is a little awkward. I didn't really have too much of an issue with it, but I will admit it is a little awkward because it doesn't really tie in with the rest of it. And it would be stronger if it did, for sure.
Yeah.
But this is a lot closer to the sound of what I would want a guitar version of this song to sound like. And you do get some of the some more of that, like when the guitars are kind of supporting da 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 da, you know. The guitar plays that, but it also plays it with the voice, so I think that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not 100%. It has some weaker sections.
Yeah, I needed something, and that bridge, which is such an important part of the song because it is like your only real change up in the later half.
Yes, absolutely.
Like we get that bubbling dance synth, and then like it doesn't play well for me. But yeah, I think you're right. There's some good stuff in here. I like the guitar. I like it when the actual organic drum kit is going big. But yeah, it just kind of falls short for me.
Yeah, I've found a lot of these are falling short. So
I know we've had such a good stretch, I felt, of like interesting covers the past few weeks. This is a little bit of a disappointing week.
But we still have two more to talk about.
That's right, and the next one to talk about is Gregorian.
In
the year 2012.
So yeah, I looked up. Okay, so they call themselves. It's like a pop classical fusion. I think that's their description. Combining Gregorian chant with pop and rock music. I looked up Gregorian chant. So in theory, at least, Gregorian chant is monophonic and unaccompanied. So
you can't really combine it.
Yeah, so this is just basically not that. Which fine, I don't care that much. I'm just pointing that out. Really what it is like it's this vague, like a medieval Ren Fair aesthetic, which is basically anything that might seem at home between pretty much like 1200 and 1800.
Yeah, that's
so it's like right. It's a broad. There's a lot. So what this really is a choral version where they wear ye olde costumes. And I know that's not how you pronounce that, but I'm making it obvious.
That's how you pronounce it.
That's how I pronounce it for fun. But I would say it's definitely a stronger choral version than Buffalo Chips.
100%.
Much, much stronger.
And I'm also going to say they don't do as much as they could. I get that it's Gregorian. We'll call it Gregorian-inspired chanting.
Yeah.
Because they do that monophonic thing. It is really like a wall of dude sound.
And then we've got a
Wall
female
of
lead
A
singer.
wall of dude sound.
Similar to the Phil Spector Wall of Sound, but a
Yeah.
little different.
But, with dudes.
With dudes. Just dudes.
Yeah. That's the Grateful Dead version of the wall of sound. So you're saying.
Mhm. So we get that, and we get this sometimes present lead female vocalist.
Yeah, well, she's not even really a lead though. Like it's not like because
yeah.
they sing the words or most of the words. She really
Mhm.
just comes in occasionally and harmonizes with them, which I did think
Yeah.
was a cool, another cool aesthetic. And they really
Yes.
do, evoke that like old Middle European folk sound pretty well, especially with the pizzicato strings really do it, and the picked mandolin.
Yeah.
And of course, probably the way they do the harmonies sound vaguely old school. It sounds like a choir.
Mhm. Yeah. And it is basic accompaniment because we're meant to focus on the dude wall and this little female voice,
The dude wall.
which should be weaving through the wall. It should be really. I think she doesn't get enough room to play.
She could do a little more with the harmonies, probably. Like she's mostly a higher harmony, but then kind of joins up with them at times, where it seems to be maybe more interesting if she didn't. Potentially.
Yeah. Because her voice stands out as such a counterpoint to the dudes. Like, to get her to do a little more, to be a little more prominent, to be doing vocal runs like Seal does. Like we talked about, the original has all of this incredible vocal layering that's already there. You don't have to be a creative genius to just do the thing he did.
Right. You just copy it.
Yeah, just copy that, and I guarantee you this would sound so much cooler with her doing runs around this massive wall of just the basic melody.
Yeah, but it doesn't do a ton. It is I guess it's an aesthetic, which they do a pretty good job of fulfilling. But I think within that, I don't think you have to leave that aesthetic to do some more interesting stuff.
No, I think they set up a good limitation with the Gregorian inspired chant. I think but it's like it is monophonic. It's very, it's not interesting musically. After you establish the novelty of hearing all these dudes singing the same note, like it's done. You need something that shows you why that's still cool. This song needs a kiss from a rose on the Gregorian.
Yeah, maybe that is it. That maybe they're just trying to sing all the same notes. And that's I don't know. I listened to some more of their stuff, and it didn't seem like they were that dedicated to sounding Gregorian.
Sounding Gregorian?
Gregorian chant.
I mean, yeah.
What's weird? What's also weird about this one is right at the end they do like an outro, and she sings the outro, so that's kind of her like more solo part, where she slows down, and then it basically ends, and that's like 3:40. 350 or so, and then there's a whole other or 450.
Yeah,
and then there's a whole other like minute of just like an organ doing this like ambient medieval thing.
Yeah, it sounds like you're in a Final Fantasy dungeon, and then
So it leads into the next song on the album, but isn't really the next song, so I think it's mostly just a transition. So really this song is a minute shorter than it claims to be.
Yeah, than it claims to be.
Yeah.
And we're a couple minutes longer than we'd like to be.
Yes,
so if you've nothing else to say, Alex, let's get into this last song.
Go to the last one.
Which is Shelly Sony in 2016.
Baby, I compare you to a kiss from the rose of the grave. The more I get of it, the stranger it feels, yeah. Now that your rose is...
Yes. No, she's also Norwegian, but has South American heritage.
Okay. She's kind of involved with the vintage cafe stuff. We've done some vintage reggae cafe covers and things like that.
Bossa Nova reggae style songs.
Yeah, things like that. She believes music is coursing through her and that it comes from her father. So she believes music is genetically inherited, musical skill. She does reggae and bossa nova and things, and hangs out with General Sound Boy, who we've talked about on a previous episode.
It's true.
So this is really that. It is like the vintage cafe style of cover.
Yeah. a lot more like kind of like the chill beats going on.
Yeah, very
drum machine stuff.
I would say heavy, but yeah, like it's like very electronic instrument focused. Electronic drum kit, this sort of
sweeps,
spacey
synth sweeps,
and some relaxed bass.
Yeah, there's a few moments where like you actually hear the bass more, and those are cool, but it doesn't happen very much.
Yeah, I don't mind a lot of the tones going on in this.
Yeah, I think it's a decent, more modern version. And it's also like generally a little bit more modern feeling, I guess structurally, I should say. Like it goes in the bridge. Like there's the verse after the bridge is a breakdown in the first half. Like yeah, that happens. Hear that all the time. So few elements like that.
It's very consistent one too. Whereas the Northern Kings suffers from perhaps being too up. This one's the flip side, where it establishes chillness and then never really gets out of that.
Stays there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what this is. And similar to which one? I don't remember now.
Louis Represas
doesn't do it well, not like that one.
No,
there's not much like vocal harmony. The harmony is on the synthesizer.
That's also Northern Kings, yeah.
Is that Northern Kings? Yeah. Yes.
Also Buffalo Chips, I guess.
I guess so.
A lot of them don't do the harmonies very well. Similar to every other version, not a lot of harmony presence.
Yeah, I guess it's difficult or something. And then, but yeah, it's really kind of playing along with that beat for the song.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's listenable. When new little things like 2 piano notes come in for a bit, you go, I like this.
How about that?
And if this played in the background of any cafe I was in, I would be fine with it. So you know what? I think in a lot of ways, this version doesn't shoot for the sky, and it hits that mark.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be trying to do more than it can.
Yeah. And there's something to respect in that, I think.
Some of them are definitely trying to do more than they can. Which is kind of respectable as well in a way, trying and failing,
yeah.
But they still failed, so.
But they still failed. And I don't even know if this one is all that good. Like to point to the ground and be like, I'm gonna make that shot. And then doing it is like, well, that wasn't a big shot. You're like, yeah, but it did it. All right. You're accurate, but did you strive for your best? Who knows? We're striving to wrap this up soon here. And that's why we're going to talk about our final verdicts, 3 categories today: the worst version, the best version, the version you would compare to a kiss from a rose on the gray. Whatever the fuck that means. Alex, what's the worst version of this?
Worst version? I think it's the Buffalo Chips. There were several versions I didn't like, but they were the least redeemable one. It was just kind of like awful all the way through for me. Possibly mostly due to recording quality and techniques, but that doesn't excuse anything.
Well, yeah, they're Gregorian without the novelty of pretending to be Gregorian.
Yeah.
And without the aid of instruments.
Yeah, and for a vocal group, just didn't sound that good vocally, so.
No, I've heard better, and we've listened to people, a cappella groups from that era and earlier. You can record something better than that, fellas. At the University at Buffalo. Worst version for sure, Alex. I agree. Best version.
Best version. My best version was The Arrival, because it came closest to what I thought I wanted out of this song. It's got some good guitars, man, and some good energy. I'm struggling to think of a real good reason though. I thought that it was mostly weak overall this week. But yeah. I liked The Arrival the best.
Sure.
And like I was saying before, they're not trying to make it like this huge vocal showpiece, but they're also not cutting vocals out or ignoring them. So it works within their style.
Yeah, they do a lot of rooting it in their element. Where I think a lot of the other groups try to take Seal on his own ground in a few ways.
Yeah, that's difficult.
That's a difficult move. That said, I'm going to give it to Northern Kings because it feels like the most finished product. Even if I don't think it's the best product, it's, it's a house with 4 walls and a door on it. And
Right,
it
you
looks
could
like
live
something
there.
they
Like,
would
they had
build.
an
You could
idea
live there. Yeah,
that
they set it up. They said, this is what it is. And you go, oh, yeah, it is that. And like, do you want to live here? I'm like, not really, but it's better than the other houses I've seen. So,
But like, yeah, I'd recommend it to someone if they need a place.
yeah, especially if they haven't heard of Northern Kings. And I'm like, hey, you might want to listen to these guys. They do a lot of covers, and they do a pretty good job. So, for being pretty good, I got to give it to the Northern Kings. Alex, which one would you compare to A Kiss from a
What
Rose
would I compare
on the Gray?
this, from a rose? Probably a Gregorian, weirdly enough, if only because like their style is kind of vague enough, or like the overall Ren Fair style is vague enough that like you pretty much do whatever you want with it, and their album cover is like very gray, so there's some gray involved, and I guess you need a rose in there at some point. That was incoherent rambling, wasn't it?
Much like the Gregorian song itself. I think you're on the money here, Alex. I'm going to give it to Shelly Sony because the more of it I hear, the stranger I feel. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's our final verdicts. If you've got a different opinion, similar opinion, want to talk to us about a version we didn't talk about, of which there are so many for this, hit us up on Twitter, #CoverMePod, @JakeTheCressy, @SomeAlexWiseGuy. Send us your comments, questions, concerns. You can also email those to us at covermepod@gmail.com. Talk to us there. Send us suggestions for future episodes. If we get enough requests for Every Rose Has Its Thorn, maybe we'll do it. We could have done all sad love songs, but it's too late now. That's the end of the episode, folks. Thank you all for joining us, and as we always say on Cover Me, baby, I compare you to an episode of Cover Me.